Yeah, and so that's a really good question, Adrian, about like how do you get upperclassmen to care what an underclassman has to say? And I think that's where like lead them up is really helpful with that. But the idea that leadership is not reserved for upperclassmen, and that the ultimate form of leadership is just honestly leading yourself first and being able to have those habits of character. Like, this is something we said on the call on Monday night about character, and JP was like, well, we have pretty high character kids on our team. Yeah, they get good grades. We want them to be out of trouble and all of that stuff. And I said, oh, yeah, but like, let's think about this for a second. If we can redefine character as, all right, let's think about just a basic example of, if we're forcing them baseline and we want to close out on the high side, force the ball to the baseline corner, cut them off, don't let them keep driving, don't let them get to the middle. 10% of the time, the kid's just going to beat you because they're better. Like the kids you're guarding is just going to beat you. The another 10% of the time, you don't even have to guard that kid because they're terrible, right? It doesn't matter if they go middle because you'll be able to cut them off. And so you can, that 10% of the time, you've got the upper hand, you've got the advantage. But 80% of the time, talent's pretty much equal. The ability is pretty much equal. So it comes down to your character of whether you're going to do what we've asked you to do and what you know is right 100% of the time within that 80% of the times that you have to do it. And so when you frame character that way, and you frame leadership that way, that's a whole new ball game. And I think we had talked about like, I don't remember who said it, but it was like, how do we get this stuff to translate to the court or to the field? Well, that's how. When you reframe it as, you're not a bad kid. None of you are bad kids, but we have some bad habits. And character is the consistency and the repeatability of good habits, of the habits we want to have. So you may be a really high character kid off the court, but that needs to extend on the court too, that you have the habits that we're looking for. And, if that kid who pisses everybody off in practice because he tries so hard, that needs to be the standard. And you as the coach have the ultimate control to say, hey, you know what? Y'all can laugh all you want. Y'all can get pissed all you want. He's coming every day to practice hard. He's leading our team right now. That is what character and leadership looks like.
And
Where
always,
just because it's practice, it doesn't matter to him. He's between the lines and he's doing everything at 100 miles an hour. And if he screws up, he's going to get a lot more leeway than some of you, you chuckleheads that aren't, because his character is high enough to where he's going to go 100% when he has to, like when we're asking him to. Yeah, Adrian, exactly. Do you want to play with him or against him? I'll take that kid 10 times out of 10 on my team, but that's character and leadership translating onto the court, where it's not like, I had an AD tell me, my first AD say, you don't need standards. We have good kids here. It doesn't matter. You don't need to lead them up. We got good kids here. They're fine. They're high character already. I said, if they were that high character, we'd be winning. And it's nothing to do with a physiological skill. It has everything to do with what's between here and your willingness to create those repeatable great habits. And that's really our job as coaches, is to reframe character and leadership as that too, not just the outward appearance of, oh yeah, she's a really good kid, she gets great grades, like all of those things that you could say to a college coach that would make them want to recruit that player. I want to know about their character and the repeatability of their habits. So when we say, hey, we're forcing baseline, does she get her foot on the baseline to cut them off? Or does she let them keep going and go under the basket and go score? That's what I want to know. Adrian, you had your hand up. What'd you say?
Character is also revealed when dealing with adversity.
Mm-hmm.
I was on another call and a coach had to do this sort of halfway through the season. And it was like, what is preventing us from achieving what we could achieve? And he gave sticky notes out to everyone, and they wrote down all the things that they would consider that's holding them back. And then on the whiteboard, he drew a line down, and on one side he had the human effect or human factor, and on the other side he had X's and O's. And he said, without lying, he took a picture of it. There was one sticky note on the X's and O's. Everything else was the human component. Mm-hmm. And if we frame it like how we deal with adversity, like, and give them the why we do all this character stuff, maybe that'll help with that early buy-in in the season. And then that's something that I picked up that I was like, wow, that's like golden nugget. Take that. Here's our why, because every kid these days, why are we doing this? Well, when adversity comes, when you're at that free throw line, or you've got to cut that guy off, or I ask you to step up and take their best player, when you know it's going to be a challenge, are you going to do it? So maybe that's just something for us to chew on.
Yeah, I think it was Gino that in a speech he gave a quote. When fate taps you on the shoulder, you're going to be ready. And like Adrian said, your character is most shown. Your character is most shown in adverse times, for sure. For example, we were in the Sweet 16 this year. We ranked 1 or 2 most of the year. Really hadn't faced a lot of adversity. And we're in the Sweet 16. We're down 3 with a minute to go. We're in a timeout, and it's funny. We're talking about different our different teams and stuff. We had a freshman who played a lot of minutes for us, was looking at our 3 seniors who started, and basically was telling them, hey, like your career is not ending. So it's just crazy, how that all correlates. The freshmen's telling our seniors, hey, we're not going to let you lose. And it's funny, that same kid got an and one about 10 seconds later. We went into overtime and won.